Imagine spending 6 months on your groundbreaking research, only to waste a week fighting with software just to make a diagram that doesn't look like it. Well, a complete mess.
hmm
Welcome to our podcast, Artificial Intelligence, Papers and Concepts, curated by Dr. Satya Malik. And just a quick heads up before we dive in, you're listening to a conversation between two AI-generated voices. We love learning, but we don't actually have brains, bodies, or PhDs.
We just have the source material.
And today's topic, it has a name that sounds, well, delicious. We're talking about PaperBanana.
Yes, PaperBanana. It is a bit of a whimsical name for a very rigorous solution.
I have to be honest, when I first saw the title, I thought maybe a smoothie recipe, a new item in Mario Kart. But this is a serious tool, isn't it?
Oh, very serious. It's what the researchers call an agentic framework.
Okay.
It was developed by researchers from Peking University and Google Cloud AI Research to tackle this huge bottleneck in the scientific workflow.
The bottleneck being that most scientists are brilliant at math and, let's just say, less brilliant at art.
Precisely. It's what they call the visualization gap. You've done the work, you've written the paper, but getting that complex idea into a clear, professional-looking diagram.
It's a nightmare. I mean, I've seen people use PowerPoint, and things just never line up.
Right.
And then you have the really hardcore folks using something like TikZ.
Okay.
For those of you listening who value your sanity, TikZ is basically writing code just to draw circles and lines.
It has a learning curve that is basically a vertical wall.
Yeah.
The whole promise of PaperBanana is to just bypass all of that. You feed it your text, the actual paragraphs from your paper.
And a caption, I see.
And a caption, yes.
Yeah.
And it acts like an autonomous art department. It just spits out a diagram that's ready for publication.
That is a big claim, though, because we've all played with image generators.
Correct.
If I tell Midjourney to draw a flowchart, I get something that looks cool, but the text is gibberish, the lines don't connect properly. Is this just that?
No, and that's the key. That's the critical difference here. A standard image generator is a one-shot model.
You prompt, it gives you a picture.
Exactly. It just kind of hallucinates a result. PaperBanana is an agentic framework.
Okay, let's pause on that word, agentic. We are hearing that a lot lately. What does that actually mean? Break that down for us.
Think of a standard AI like a really talented but impulsive artist. You shout an idea, they splash paint on a canvas.
Right, instant result.
Agentic system is more like running a whole design studio. You don't just have an artist. You have a manager, a researcher, a planner, even a critic. They all talk to each other.
So it's a team effort, not a solo performance.
Exactly. They break the job down into steps and they iterate.
That makes a lot of sense. And before we get to meet the staff of this digital design studio, we do need to pay our own bills.
Indeed.
This podcast is sponsored by BigVision.ai, a consulting and product development company that helps companies of all sizes build computer vision and AI solutions. You can reach them at contact@bigvision.ai.
Big Vision is doing some really great work in the field.
Okay, so back to the PaperBanana studio. Let's walk through this assembly line. I've got my text. I hand it over. Who gets it first?
The first agent is the retriever agent. And this is interesting because it doesn't actually start drawing.
It doesn't.
No. It starts by looking for inspiration.
Inspiration? You mean like browsing Pinterest for diagrams?
Sort of, yeah. It searches a reference set. In the paper, they used 292 examples from NeuriPS 2025 to find diagrams that are similar.
But similar how? Same topic.
That's the clever part, not the same topic. It's looking for similar structural logic and visual style.
Oh, I see. So if my method involves a feedback loop, it might pull up a diagram from a totally different field that also has a loop in it.
Precisely. It's looking for the vibe of the layout. Is it linear? Is it cyclical? This grounds the whole process in what a real professional diagram should look like.
That's smart. It's like bringing a mood board to a meeting. Make it look something like this. Okay, so the retriever finds a reference. Who's next?
Next up is the planner agent. This is really the brain of the operation. It takes your raw text and the examples the retriever found, and it writes a detailed plan.
And what's in that plan? A sketch.
It's more like a script. It maps out the nodes, the connections, the whole flow. It's the bridge from just a block of text to an actual visual concept.
Okay, so we have a blueprint. But, a blueprint can still be made to look really ugly. I've seen scientific posters that use neon green on yellow. It still haunts me.
And that is exactly why the next agent is so important, the Stylist agent.
The Stylist, I like it.
The Stylist handles all the aesthetics. The researchers actually had the system analyze hundreds of papers from top journals to extract what they call a comprehensive aesthetic guideline.
Wait, they basically reverse engineered good taste?
Essentially, yes. The
Yeah.
stylist enforces rules, typography, color harmony, layout balance, and make sure the final product looks like it belongs in nature or science.
I appreciate that. I mean, bad design can actually ruin good science. There's this bias where if the font is terrible, I just instinctively trust the math less.
It's a real cognitive bias. The halo effect. Good design implies competence.
So we've got a plan and a style guide. Who actually draws the thing?
That would be the visualizer agent. This is the one that uses an image generation model. They tested a few, like NanoBanana Pro and GeoPT Image.
Okay.
It takes all the instructions from the planner and the stylist, and it renders the actual pixels.
But that brings me back to my first worry. Image generators, they mess up the details. I can't have a diagram in my paper that spells algorithm with a silent Q.
You are absolutely right. The visualizer is prone to making mistakes, which is why the final agent is probably the most important of all.
And that is
The critic agent.
the strict supervisor.
The critic creates that closed loop we talked about. It looks at the image the visualizer made, and it compares it right back to the original text.
Asking questions like, did we miss an arrow?
Is this label spelled correctly? Does this flow actually make sense based on the text? And if it finds an error,
It sends it back.
it sends it back with notes. Fix this. And they run this loop 3 times.
That iterative process, that try, critique, fix loop, that seems to be what separates these new systems. It feels more human.
Right.
We don't get things right on the first draft.
Exactly. It's a self-correcting mechanism. In science, close enough is never good enough. The critic is the firewall.
Okay, so the team is retriever, planner, stylist, visualizer, and critic. It sounds great on paper, but does it actually work?
The authors anticipated that question, so they've built a benchmark. They call it PaperBanana Bench.
Of course they did. I love the names they come up with.
It has 292 test cases from NeurIPS 2025 papers, and they compared PaperBanana against, just a standard vanilla image generator.
And against humans, I hope.
And against the original human-created diagram.
Okay, and the verdict.
It's fascinating. I mean, it crushes the vanilla models, no surprise there. But against humans, the results are really nuanced.
Nuanced is always code for it's complicated.
It is. So in terms of conciseness and aesthetics, PaperBanana actually scores higher than the humans.
Hold on. The AI makes better-looking diagrams than the actual scientists who made them.
Significantly better, yes. For conciseness, it scored over 37% higher. It turns out that human researchers, well, we often add too much clutter. We try to cram everything in one box.
Or we just use terrible colors.
Or terrible colors. The AI is a filter for all those bad design habits. It simplifies things.
That feels like a bit of a roast of the entire academic community, but I'll allow it. So it's basically the Marie Kondo of diagrams.
That's a great way to put it. But you asked about the nuance.
Yeah, where does it fall short? Let me guess. Faithfulness. Is it actually accurate?
You got it. While the diagrams are pretty and clean, it still struggles with faithfulness, with accuracy compared to humans.
The pretty but wrong problem.
Exactly. It might generate this stunning diagram, but maybe one arrow is pointing the wrong way.
Which, in science, is not a small mistake. That's a disaster. If input A goes to process B and the AI draws it going to process C, that's misinformation.
It's fundamental misinformation. The paper's failure analysis shows these specific cases. The AI drew a connection that looked visually plausible, but it just wasn't in the method. Or it mismatched nodes.
Wasn't the critic agent supposed to catch that?
It catches a lot of them, but not all of them. Visual reasoning is incredibly hard. The critic can see there is an arrow, but it might not understand that the arrowhead being on the wrong end changes the entire meaning.
That's a dangerous trap, then. If a diagram looks really professional, my brain is kind of tricked into trusting it more.
That is the biggest risk, because it's so good you might get lazy. The authors are very clear. Human oversight is mandatory. You have to audit every single connection.
Right. Your job shifts from being the artist to being the editor-in-chief.
Exactly. Now, there's another part to this. It's not just flowcharts. Papers are full of data plots, bar charts, line graphs.
How does it handle those? That seems even harder.
It is, and this is where the approach gets really clever. They realized they couldn't just use the image generator for data. Well, think about it. If you ask an image model to draw a bar chart showing a value of 0.6, it'll draw a bar. But if you actually measure the pixels, that bar might be at 0.9 or 0.4.
Right. It creates the idea of the data, not the actual data. It just hallucinates the numbers.
It's terrible at math. So for statistical plots, the visualizer agent switches its strategy. It doesn't generate pixels.
What does it do?
It writes Python code.
No way. It writes a matplotlib script.
Exactly. It takes your description and writes the code to generate that plot. That ensures numerical precision. The bar is at exactly 0.6 because the code literally says y 0.6.
That is so smart. So for the conceptual stuff, it paints, but for the hard data, it programs.
And they even suggest a hybrid approach. For a simple, sparse plot, the image generator might look better. But for complex, dense data, you have to use code to be accurate.
It's amazing. The system has enough self-awareness to know when it shouldn't be trusted, to say, I should calculate this, not just draw it.
That's a vital distinction.
But I want to talk about my favorite feature from the paper, the makeover capability.
Ah, yes, the remediation feature.
This is for every researcher who's ever made a diagram that looks like it was drawn on a napkin after 3 cups of coffee.
Or in MS Paint back in 1998.
Yes.
You can feed PaperBanana your own ugly diagram.
Yeah.
The Stylist agent analyzes it, keeps all the logic the same, but redesigns it completely to meet professional standards.
It's like Queer Eye for your research paper.
It is, and in their tests, the enhanced diagrams won against the originals over 56% of the time. It just fixes everything, the fonts, the colors, the alignment.
I think that might be the most immediate use case for so many people.
Oh,
I would use that today.
I think we all would.
But look at the downsides again. We talked about faithfulness. What else is holding this back from being perfect?
There's a big technical limitation. It might sound a bit dry, but for a scientist, it can be a deal breaker. It's raster versus vector.
Okay, break that down. Raster is pixels, like a JPEG. Vector is math, like an SVG.
You've got it. PaperBanana currently outputs raster images, pixels. But scientists almost always need vector files.
Why is that so important?
2 big reasons. First, printing. A raster image gets blurry when you zoom in. A vector stays perfectly crisp. But second, and this is the big one, editability.
Oh, of course. It's 2 days before the deadline, and your advisor says, can you just move that one box a little bit to the left?
Exactly. With a raster image, you can't. That box isn't an object, it's just a bunch of colored pixels. You have to go back and regenerate the whole thing.
And hope the AI draws it the same way again. You lose all that fine-grained control.
That's the problem. The authors know this, though. They suggest a future version could have agents that directly control software like Adobe Illustrator.
That would be something else. An AI literally moving the mouse in Illustrator for you.
It feels like the next frontier, moving from generating pixels to actually operating tools.
So if we step back, PaperBanana is amazing. It beats us on aesthetics, it speeds things up, but it has this faithfulness risk and the vector limitation.
Right.
Is not quite ready to take over the lab.
No, not yet. But it does represent a huge shift. We're moving away from just prompting a model and hoping for the best.
Right.
We're moving towards managing a team of AI agents that can plan and critique and execute a complex task.
It really changes our role from creator to, I don't know, manager, editor-in-chief.
That's a good way to put it. You set the direction, you review the final work, but you don't push the pixels yourself.
You know, thinking about this, there's a deeper implication here. Right now, the AI reads your paper and it draws a diagram of your method.
Yes.
But remember that Critic agent, the one that looks for logical inconsistencies in the drawing.
I see where you're going with this.
If the AI gets good enough to understand the logic of your method, how long until it reads your paper, tries to draw the diagram, and then just stops and says, hey, wait a minute, I can't draw this because your method itself has a logical flaw?
That is a profound thought. How long until the AI is not just visualizing your work, but actively finding the holes in your theory before you do?
Exactly. I'm sorry, Dave. I can't draw that diagram. Your math doesn't add up.
That's the moment it stops being an illustrator and starts being a collaborator. Or maybe even a peer reviewer. And honestly, that might be closer than we think.
On that slightly terrifying but also exciting note, we will wrap up this deep dive into PaperBanana.
It's been a pleasure.
A huge thank you to our listeners for tuning in. If you want to see if our future deep dives are written by us or an agentic framework, please subscribe to our show so you don't miss the next one. We'll see you then.